Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Gaja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Gaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Govinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaura Hari Bo. Paramahansa Paribhasha Kachari Ashokara Srimad Abhaya Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribhajaka Ashto Tarasati Shishimat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glory to the Samad devotees. All glory to the Samad devotees. All glory to the Samad devotees. All glory to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga.
Just a minute, we would like to introduce him next.
Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate that we have today's Mokshada Ekadasi, Gita Jayanti, and Srila Prabhupada's disciple with all of us. Haribo! His Holiness GuruPrasad Swamy Maharaj got initiation in 1976, 46 years ago. Many of us would not have been on this earthly planet. 5 decades of dedicated service to Srila Prabhupada's mission. He got Sannyasa Diksha in 1982. Before that, Maharaj was born in USA and he studied his nuclear physics at Purdue University. And after becoming disenchanted with the science, he transferred to the University of Texas, where he made in contact with the ISKCON devotees. But in fact, during his military service in Panama, where his encounter with the ISKCON devotees changed Maharaj's life dramatically. So upon concluding Maharaj's military services, he joined the group of ISKCON devotees in Central America, stationed in San Jose and Costa Rica. So Maharaj's early contribution in ISKCON Costa Rica centered on administrative services and distributing BBT publications beginning from 1975 in US and from 1976 to 1978 in Central America. He became the temple president of the Costa Rica temple in 1978, then began traveling around the Latin America and opening new temples, establishing centers like this, and collaborating in diverse administrative services. In 1987, he became the member of GBC with the zonal assignment in Arizona, Mexico, and the co-zonal secretary of Vietnam, Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia, Trinidad, Tobago, and Venezuela. So let's heartily welcome His Holiness GuruPrasad Swamy Maharaj to our center by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. It is our good fortune that Maharaj, despite his busy schedule and health, he kindly agreed to come to our center. So let's take benefit by hearing Maharaj on Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading today, I think, from 5th canto, 3rd chapter, text number 6, right?
Yes.
So this is a prose verse, so I'll just repeat it. It's very difficult to repeat in chorus. Parijana virachita shabasam samshabda salilasita Kishalaya Tulasika Durvan Kudairapi Sambitaya Sapadhyaya Kitaparama Paritushati Parijana by your servants, Anuraga, in great ecstasy, Virachita, executed, Shabala, with a faltering voice, Samshabda, with prayers, Salila, water, Sita Kisalaya, twig, twigs bearing new leaves. Tulasika, tulasi leaves. Durva anukurai, and with newly grown grass. Api, also. Samrittaya, performed. Sapadhyaya, by worship. Kila, indeed. Parama, O Supreme Lord. Paritushasi, you become satisfied. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. O Supreme Lord, you are full in every respect. You are certainly very satisfied when your devotees offer you prayers with faltering voices and in ecstasy bring you tulasi leaves, water, twigs bearing new leaves, and newly grown grass. This surely makes you satisfied. Everyone can please repeat. O Supreme Lord, you are full in every respect. You are certainly very satisfied when your devotees offer you prayers with faltering voices and in ecstasy bring you tulasi leaves, water, twigs bearing new leaves, and newly grown grass. This surely makes you satisfied. Purport. One does not need great wealth, education, or opulence to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one is fully absorbed in love and ecstasy, he need only offer a flower and a little water. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Parayachati. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Bhagavad Gita 9:26. The Supreme Lord can be pleased only by devotional service. Therefore, it is said that the Lord is surely satisfied by devotion and nothing else. Quoting from Gautamiya Tantra, the Hari Bhakti Vilas states, Tulasi dalamatrena jalasya chulukena va vikrinite swam atmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsala. Sri Krishna, who is very affectionate to his devotees, sells himself to the devotee who offers merely a tulasi leaf and a palmful of water. Supreme Lord is causelessly merciful upon his devotee, so much so that even the poorest of men can offer him a little water and a flower in devotion and thus please him. This is due to his affectionate dealings with his devotees. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dalati Swaparantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakapatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Save one step. No. Krishna, we only have a short lifetime, so less steps. I'm very happy to be here. What do they call this? ISKCON Whitefield? Okay. So, as someone was explaining, as we came up the elevator, first you get your bodily care, and then here you get your soul care. So that's very nice. Psychological also. Actually, the Bhagavatam is the original psychology. Because Krishna consciousness, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that the mind is can be our best friend or our greatest enemy. So in order to reach the platform of the soul, the mind has to be subdued. As Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam, that abhidyamanopyabhivatti dvayo taturdiya swapna manorato yataha yat karma sankalpa vikalpatam mano buddhi arudyat abhayam tata syat. He says that ignorance is a product of being absorbed in the duality of material existence. So, unfortunately, our intelligence is absorbed in two types of dreams: the nighttime dream, swapna, and most of us accept that as illusion. Although some people put a lot of credit in their dreams. Of course, if we dream about Krishna or Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru, the Vaishnavas, devotional service, then that's real. Even if the events are not real, the sentiment is real, and it will have an effect. But that's not usually what we dream about. And so we identify that as illusion. But unfortunately, the daydream, manorata, when on the chariot of the mind, we perceive this as real. I said the other day, one time a devotee, we were reading Bhagavatam, and he was a little disturbed about something, said, let's talk about reality. And I said, I thought the Bhagavatam was reality, and everything else is illusion. But we think that this illusory life absorbed in the three modes of nature is real. So therefore the mind, sankalpa vikalpa, it just tears us between what we want to accept and what we want to reject, which is the function of the mind and will always be the function of the mind. And therefore, the mind has to be, we have to appreciate, train the mind to accept the things, anukulyasa sankalpam, things that are favorable for Krishna service, and patikulyasa varjanam, and reject those things which are unfavorable for devotional service. These are the two first and most important steps in surrendering to Krishna, according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, yes, we are treating the mind, because the soul, as Srila Prabhupada said so many times, the soul has nothing to do with this material world. It never does, it never will. But we have to connect with the soul. And if our heart is not connected, our heart, just like Srimati Radharani, she said through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his sentiment in Rath Yatra, he was speaking to Lord Jagannath as Radharani and Jagannath as Krishna in Kurukshetra. And so Krishna said, if you want me to go back to Vrindavan, why don't you just meditate on me? And she said, that's absurd, because some people, their mind and their heart are the same, meaning that whatever the mind sees, the heart wants, or whatever the heart is is addicted to, the mind will gravitate toward that. But she said, my mind is always in Vrindavan, and my heart is always in Vrindavan. So, therefore, please put your lotus feet back in Vrindavan. Otherwise, this is. And she said, as far as meditating on you, that's absurd, because I'm trying to forget you, and I can't do it. Therefore, what is the use of meditating on you? So anyway, our mind has to be absorbed in Krishna. So here we have this prayer. In the previous prayer, these are the priests, the Brahmins, because Nabhi Maharaj did not consider himself to be worthy. In the previous verse, there's a word, anisha, which means not worthy. So he said, I'm not worthy to offer you prayers. I'm not a big devotee, a big Brahmin, but because you're so compassionate, then I know that you will accept our prayers. Krishna is very compassionate. One disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he's a very intelligent devotee, but he wasn't very good at mantras and Sanskrit. Couldn't pronounce it very well, and he forgot when he was repeating the Gayatri. He didn't say it very properly. But Prabhupada said, "You are so sincere that whatever you say, Krishna will accept it." And of course, chanting the Mahamantra, especially Westerners, like most of you from Karnataka, or maybe all of you. So Karnataka is famous for arts and music and mantra chanting. So you probably got it down pretty well. But Westerners, they say all kinds of different things. Of course, sometimes in deep South India, they say Krishna. No, Krishna. They get a little too far. Krishna, but they Krishna. But generally speaking, but sometimes, like in Latin America, they say Krishna, because they say the I like a long I in Sanskrit, so Krishna. But Krishna accepts it. So Nabi Maharaj is preparing the Lord Vishnu, for his prayers. He said, I'm not qualified. I'm absorbed in the modes of material nature, and you're beyond the modes of material nature. Therefore, what can I offer? But I know that you will accept whatever someone tries to offer you with the best that they can possibly do, although I'm distracted by the conditioned nature of life. So we have to have this faith. This is faith in Krishna. The first step given by Rupa Goswami, Adao Shraddha, initial faith. Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita that at least you have to theoretically accept that Krishna is God. Otherwise, you can never understand Bhagavad Gita. You can never understand Krishna consciousness. Just like in India, they accept Krishna, but they accept so many other people also. And they categorize Krishna, many people, not all of you, of course. Especially in South India, the Devas Devata worship is very strong. So it's hard to convince someone, only Krishna. But I always say it's easy to understand. Just like anyone who does business, you want to cut out the middleman, or you use internet to buy something, then you don't have to go to the store, you don't have to pay the middleman markup. So Krishna said, in Kali Yuga, you have a very short life. So therefore, why, if you worship the Devas, then you'll never get to me in time. After 60, 70, 80 years, and as Prahlad Maharaj says, that how much time do we actually have for self-realization? The first 5 years we waste in playing, and frivolous things, and then from 5 to 15, 16, we're engaged in studying, trying to prepare ourselves for life, and then after that, 18, 20, we get married, and then we have to take on all kinds of responsibilities. And then working and taking care of the family. Both men and women are engaged in that. And then when you get older, so many bodily distractions absorb the mind, or this sickness, that sickness, this problem, that problem. And then on top of that, we spend 6 to 8 hours a day sleeping. We spend 2 hours or more eating and bathing and all this. So how much time is there for self-realization? So we shouldn't, Prabhupada said, don't wait until the last 3 years. He didn't say the last 7 days. No, we're not on the level of Parikshit Maharaj. So last 3 years, and better we don't wait even another moment. Prahlad Maharaj says, from 5 years old, if you weren't so fortunate to take up Krishna consciousness at 5 years old or earlier, then like Prahlad Maharaj, he took it up in the womb. He was very anxious. Couldn't wait. Shukadeva Swamy also couldn't wait to hear about Krishna. But we have so many, yes, I'll hear about Krishna as soon as I finish this, as soon as I do this, as soon as I do that. So, but Krishna still, he wants us. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the maximum expression of Krishna's desire that we surrender to him. Krishna told us to surrender, and Lord Chaitanya showed us how to surrender and taught us how to surrender. Of course, Krishna tells us the elements, how to prepare ourselves for surrender, but he doesn't really tell us how to surrender. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because at Krishna's time, there were so many Vedic injunctions that were available. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, knowing the nature of Kali Yuga, teaches us just to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this verse, now he changes. First he spoke about the conditioned souls. Now he's speaking about the liberated souls. He says, you are full in every respect, and you are satisfied when you're devotees. So satisfied. And it says here, paritushasi, not just satisfied, but very satisfied, extremely satisfied. What makes you so satisfied? Well, because the devotees offer you, as it says here, Shabala Samshabha, that they offer you words and glorification with Shabala, with faltering voices, meaning that they're feeling so much affection, so much love for Krishna, that their voices are choked up, just like we chant Shikshastikam, that our voice is Gadgada. It's the voice is choked up. I can't speak properly. Of course, we may not be experiencing that at this stage. I always say that there's two types of people that have trouble chanting. The neophyte devotees, because their mind is distracted. So even though the mouth may be chanting, the mind may be somewhere else. You put the body on automatic pilot, the mind is going all around the universe. And the pure devotees, they have trouble chanting too. Because as Rupa Goswami says, no jane janita kiad bir amritai Krishna varnatvai. How much nectar is there in these two syllables, Krishna? So because they're feeling so much nectar, they struggle to chant because there's so much ecstasy in their chanting. So everybody struggles, but better to be in the second category, which is actually the first category. The best category is struggle We have to struggle because we're feeling so much ecstasy. So that's what's being described here. That they're praying. And what are they praying for? The conditioned souls are praying for, please give me this, please give me that, do this for me, engaging Krishna in our service. That's what we do when we're conditioned. We have that tendency, Krishna do that. Even as devotees, sometimes we think Krishna, of course, we have to ask Krishna for something. We don't want to burden Krishna, but Krishna wants to accept that burden. And we have to ask him. We have to ask him something. What do we ask him? The devotees are asking, please give me pure devotion. As Srila Prabhupada, he gave that translation to the Maha Mantra. Oh my Lord, oh Srimati Radharani, energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. So we have to ask for that because we don't have that inclination. But the best way to ask for that, apart from chanting the Maha Mantra, so that we can chant the Maha Mantra without offenses or try to chant, is that engage. How do I engage in my service? We take advantage of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. They will tell us how to engage in so many ways, even more than we want. They're very expert at engaging us. Sometimes we don't want to be so engaged. Just like I remember when I used to get letters, I still get emails and like this, but I used to get letters from certain places. Somebody would write when they knew I was coming. I would get all these letters when they knew I was coming, and the disciples would write, I'm chanting my 16 rounds. I'm following the principles. So otherwise, don't tell me anything. I'm okay. Don't give me any extra burdens. So this is sometimes that would happen. So, but we should be very anxious. No, not only that, Srila Prabhupada said we should be very anxious to be chastised by the Guru. No, not to be rewarded. Not that I tell how wonderful I am, and he says, yes, you are very wonderful. Yeah, perfect arrangement. No, we want to we want to express, just like we were reading. Last night we were speaking. Last night I had a program for devotees in Latin America for the marathon congregational group. There was many devotees, and so I said, one sannyasi spoke before me, and he said, for distributing books, we should just try to be sincere and not worry about the lines. But I said, but actually one devotee came before Srila Prabhupada, because this is the marathon and you're the congregation. There's not so many brahmacharis here. No, I don't see many, not so much saffron. No, and so, I mean, most of you are congregational devotees, but in order that we can please, and here we have deities of Gornitai and Srila Prabhupada. So how do you please Gornitai and Prabhupada? By distributing books. No. And so don't just leave it to these two. No. Everybody has to do this. So Prabhupada, this one devotee came to him. He was very shy and like timid, and and so Prabhupada said, so when you distribute the books, what do you say? And he said some things, and Prabhupada didn't think it was so good. But then Prabhupada said, this is what you should say, that this book will give you, will save you from all the miseries of life and all your suffering. So please take it. That was Prabhupada's suggestion. So that's the point, that we should be very anxious to hear. And he chastised the devotee, saying that your lines wasn't heavy. It was a nice chastisement. Well, it was like, yeah, that's not so good. Let me tell you what to do. So that is our relationship with Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. Not only the Guru, but also the Vaishnava. Narottam Das Thakur chants Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita. So we take our inspiration from Hari, Guru, the Vaishnavas, the Bhagavatam, and the Gita. These are our 5 sources of inspiration, according to Sri Narottam Das Thakur. And so we should be very, very desirous to get information, enthusiasm, inspiration, or even chastisement. In Bhagavad Gita, there's chastisement. Ashochanam Vishochistam Bhagavatam Chavishajegatas Magatasum Cha Nanushachanchi Panditaha. Krishna says to Arjuna, oh, don't be a fool. But treat yourself as a fool. Don't be foolish. Kutas prakashpanamidam. Shame samapastitam. Why are you thinking? Have you let this contamination come into your mind at this moment? This moment, Vishame means the test. This is the test. Just like if you're going to school, you have a test. In that moment, you can't be sleeping or doing something else, thinking about something else. You have to be very alert. So he's saying, in this moment, when you're supposed to overcome any weakness, this moment when you're supposed to respond according to everything that I've taught you, you are thinking the wrong way. So when we chant the Maha Mantra also, this should be our consciousness. Now in this moment, when I have the possibility to be alone with Krishna, personally with Krishna, he's come in this form of the holy name. I have to be very attentive. I have to, this is Krishna. If Krishna walked in right now, or even with the deity, would we be talking on our cell phone? No. Well, we're supposed to be worshiping the deity. Somebody calls us. You put down the incense. No. Yeah, Krishna, wait a minute. No, you don't do that. So we shouldn't do that when Krishna comes to us in the most intimate way, to enter into our ear, into our heart. That's what he's offering in the form of the holy name. That's why the holy name is so merciful, because it enters into our ear. But if we're not hearing, then we're ignoring Krishna. So this is so important. So we have to be very attentive to take the association. Just like devotees often say when one is a sannyasi or Brahmin, please give your blessing. And I say, well, yes, okay, here, take the blessing. Here's the blessing, so much, 18,000 blessings. So that is the blessing. The blessing is, as Lord Chaitanya said, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Shravana Mathura Vasa Shimurtira Shravana Sevaya. That the mercy is that you take advantage of the association of devotees, you chant the holy name, you hear the Bhagavatam, you purify your residence by having deities, and you worship those deities. Just like the deity should be just like here in the temple, the deity is the main focus. And so in our home, also the deity should be the main focus, not hidden away so that my 52-inch screen can be prominent. No, it should be, deity should be prominent. And just like one devotee he's making a film about Lord Nrsimhadev, or as you say here, Narasimha. So a wonderful film, and so that everyone can understand the glories of Nrsimhadev. So this is the proper use of the 52-inch screen, or the 100-inch screen. For Lord Nrsimhadev, we might want even bigger. But so here in this verse, he says, what do you require? Tulsi leaf, durva grass, some twigs. Why do we offer twigs to Krishna? No. Anyone know? Why do we offer twigs? No. Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsam. Vyasadeva offered this prayer. Yasyam by Shruyamanayam. My dear Lord, I want that everyone should hear. He's after hearing from Narada Muni, he's meditating that this is what I need to give. Yasyam vai Shruyamanayam. I want to give something that everyone will hear, Krishna Parama Purushe, so that everyone will understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhaktir Upadyate Pumsam. And therefore, so that bhakti will sprout. So because we want bhakti to sprout, you offer the Lord twigs. I want my bhakti, my bhakti lata to sprout and grow and also offering something fresh and new to Krishna. And so it says, twigs with new leaves, newly grown grass, durva grass, is offered to Krishna, and tulsi leaves and water. And then this mantra, which is one chance to offer water and tulsi leaves to Krishna or to the Ganga, as did Advaitacharya. So we want to offer this. But the most important thing in the last part of this verse, Bhaktibhyo Bhaktavatsalaha. You are Bhaktavatsa, which means you are very affectionate to your devotees. One verse which I couldn't really remember, I got it here. Two verses. Darshayam Tadvidam Loka. That you give your darshan to everyone. You give your darshan to everyone. Atmano Bhaktavasyata. But to your devotee, to your intimate devotee, you are surrendered to that devotee. Vadasya Paha Vai Harsham. And when you see the surrender of your devotee, you smile very wonderfully and very beautifully. And then forgot that Bhagavan Balachishtatai, because your devotee is offering so much to you, you offer everything to them. You become subordinate to them. And so this is your affection. Because the devotee is very affectionate to you, you are very affectionate to them. Because I've been explaining to so many temples have goshalas. So I'm explaining to the devotees, if you want more milk from the cows, instead of having a calf every year, which becomes a big cow population, because sometimes our goshalas, we don't have that much land. We may have only a few acres. I said, we have a cow in Costa Rica that has been giving milk 8 or 9 years, no calf. And I've seen many cows like this. Why? Because you give them affection. Cows are very affectionate. And if you give them affection, you brush them, and we feed this one cow with a bottle, like a baby bottle, not with a big one, like a big bottle like this. And she loves it. She take carrot juice and all kinds of juices, guava juice and mango juice. She goes crazy with that one. And then you embrace her. So I tell the devotee, just every devotee assign them to one cow, especially if you start out from the calf, and you take care of that like a child, and that cow will give milk, even without a calf. And after having a calf, it will give so much milk for 5 or 6, 7 years without another calf. But if you treat them, hit them with a stick, then you have to have a calf every year, and that becomes very difficult. So there's another verse, which I never memorized. It's a very beautiful verse. These are all from Damodar Lila. Chakriya sam sutam bitam Vigyaya Bhakavatsala. Bhakavad, same thing, Bhakta. Yesha Kilatam Badhum Damnata Viryakovida. Mother Yashoda was always overwhelmed by intense love for Krishna, not knowing who Krishna was or how powerful he was. Because of material affection for Krishna, she never even cared to know who he was. Therefore, when she saw that her son had become excessively afraid, she threw the stick away and desired to bind him so that he would not commit any further naughty activities. Actually, Mother Yashoda threw away the stick because she thought, now I've showed Krishna the stick, he may run away. That's why I have to bind him. She didn't bind him really to keep him from doing anything naughty, but she actually bound him so he wouldn't run away. She thought, Krishna's never seen me do this before. This is unprecedented. And therefore, let me hide the stick and tie up Krishna so he won't run away. Of course, he did run away anyway. He was very, because she couldn't tie that stick. Why? Because Krishna's mercy was so great that he finally allowed her to bind him. And because her effort was so great, she would never give up. No. 1 robe, 5 robes, 10 robes, 100 robes. And we have to, she's teaching us, how do you serve Krishna? If there's some obstacle, you don't become in any way thinking about giving up or thinking it's too difficult or discouraged. No, you just keep doing it, keep going. Although Rupa Goswami says that atyahara prayashaha, you should not make too much effort. But for satisfying Krishna, we make unlimited effort. We try again and again, just like Srila Prabhupada. No, if Prabhupada would have given up against unbelievable obstacles, no, like what are our obstacles? Basically, the mind. No, we don't have so many big obstacles like Prabhupada. Family, money, some difficulty, a little sickness. But Prabhupada had so many obstacles and so many years of obstacles, so many years. First, family obstacles. His wife was not very interested in the same level of devotion Prabhupada was preaching. Was preaching so, even when he was Grihastha, he would sit on his porch and anybody that walked by, he would call them and preach to them. And so his family wasn't so interested, which was an obstacle. He had to take care of them. When his desire was to satisfy the order of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then when he started preaching, his wife was not happy. He's taking too much time. He's not paying attention to the business. The business is going down. She wasn't feeling, just like we see the wife of Sudam Brahman. She wanted him to go to Krishna to get more facility, not for her, but so that she could cook for him. She had no bhoga. She had nothing to offer to her husband. And therefore, just to serve her husband and to serve Krishna, she asked for something. So if we ask for something from Krishna or from the Vaishnavas, it should be with that intent. We only want to satisfy Krishna more. So sometimes we say, Krishna, if you so desire. Why do we say that? Because he may want to teach us something through difficulty. If you so desire, please give me this opportunity to serve you this way. But if you don't give it to me, that doesn't matter. I will be the same. This is the nature of affection. This is the nature of love. You never give up. You never become disappointed or discouraged or think it's too difficult. Of course, sometimes even we have to apply the prayashaha principle to devotional service. If we try and try and try, and then we should consult with the Vaishnavas. Is this actually worth it? No. Even Prabhupada, when he was in New York, he was preaching with Dr. Mishra, and nobody was coming. And then, but Dr. Mishra said, "You can't preach anymore. You can chant, because that attracts everyone. But your preaching is attracting everyone to you. I want them to be attracted to me. Give nice donation. So therefore, you can't speak." So all these things were happening. And Prabhupada thought, maybe I misunderstood the order of my spiritual master. Maybe I should go back to Vrindavan. And on his way, he went to the steamship company. He said, "When is the next boat?" A few weeks. And he was thinking of booking a ticket. On his way back, he met the devotee. Krishna could see, oh, my devotee is becoming a little discouraged, because he made so much sacrifice to come here, and he's thinking, I'm not giving him any result. Why am I not giving him a result? Not because Prabhupada had to learn something for us, to teach us how determined we must be in devotional service. So, but on the way back, he met the devotees, and he knew, oh, Krishna, yes, you want me to be here, I will stay. So sometimes, we may see some difficulty. We should consult, especially with senior devotees, and see, is what I'm doing, should I, I'm not getting any result. Of course, the devotee is not attached to results. One time, Srila Prabhupada said, our duty is to approach people and offer them Krishna. Whether they take it or not, that depends on Paramatma. I can't produce it. I make my best effort. I learn this philosophy. I try understand how to, I prepare myself. But ultimately, it depends on Krishna. And that's why Srila Prabhupada had to undergo so many difficulties to show us what is the nature of spiritual determination. And so this, therefore, even the greatest personalities cannot achieve, just like Nabi. There's one other verse in the Damodar Leela that Nabi is saying, I'm not so qualified like these devotees. No, these devotees are very qualified. I'm not so qualified, but still I will try to serve. So Shukadeva Goswami, he says that Imam Barinsho Nabhavo Nashir Apyanga Samshaya, that not Brahma, who's very, very wonderful, not Shiva, not Lakshmi, Prasadam Libhide Gopi, have ever received as much mercy as this Gopi, Yashoda Mai. And therefore, Yata Bhakta Matamiyaha. Only the devotees can have this special position. Even Brahma, even Shiva, even Lakshmi cannot receive this degree of. So Nabi is thinking like that. I may be in a king, I may be in an official position, but I want to follow these devotees. This is what he's saying. This makes you satisfied. Not that we have to offer so much. Srila Prabhupada begins his purport by saying, one does not need great wealth, education, or opulence. So Queen Kunti says, Janmaishvara Shuta Shri Vir Edamana Madapumam. That actually Janma Aishvarya, reputation, or from being born in a high family, or wealth, or Shuta, Shivir, or wonderful characteristics, bodily beauty, or great learning. The tendency when you have these things is to become bewildered by the fever of material existence. samsara vishanale, diva nishi hivajvale. Srinartam Das Thakur says that the samsara is burning in my heart day and night. And another meaning of that is that day and night you have been trying to teach me to give up samsara, but I won't do it. No. So either way, it's not, samsara is very difficult to give up. So, so generally these things bewilder us. But if a devotee becomes fixed, then they can take their good reputation. Just like many times Ambarish Prabhu has come here. You know, he has reputation for Ford, no. But he uses it for Krishna. No, he could care less whether he's Ford or Das or whatever. No, he could care less. But because he's a devotee, and Aishwarya, he also has wealth, and many devotees have wealth. If we use that wealth for Krishna's service, then it's very wonderful. Shibir, Srila Prabhupada said to the ladies, if you're beautiful, then be like a gopi for Krishna. Make yourself beautiful for Krishna, not for everyone else. Of course, naturally, ladies like to look nice. That's their nature. But especially look nice for Krishna. And Shruti, Shubir, Shuta, knowledge. We don't acquire knowledge, but we take knowledge from devotional service. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayat Yasya Vairagyam Jnanam Jaya Rahitukam. That the knowledge coming from devotional service, when we hear the Bhagavatam, when we hear Chaitanya Charitamrita, when we hear the Vaishnavas speaking, that knowledge we take because it's a product of devotional service. But other knowledge is not, and we may need it for our functioning in this world, but that's consequential. That's just mechanical. We go to school, we learn this. Not that we have to be very anxious to learn so many other things. Srila Prabhupada said, whatever you learn before you come to Krishna consciousness, whatever you learn, you can use that in Krishna service. Don't try to acquire more. From that point on, acquire bhakti gyan. That's what that will. Of course, we may need more knowledge for, like if you're a medical profession, you have to update yourself, on new techniques, or anything. You're a lawyer, you have to understand the legal procedures. If you're a, whatever you are, you have to keep yourself, updated. So, but otherwise, the devotee is not interested in material knowledge. Material knowledge, mostly it's just illusion. Even that material knowledge that we use in our particular profession, it's all illusory. It's all meant to be, especially nowadays, everything is focused on technology. It's like when I was in college, there was more emphasis on arts and language and literature more than technology. But now that's all forgotten. Many schools, they don't even teach these things anymore. Like when I went to the uni, you had to study a language, and you had to study this, and you had to study that, and you had to study English literature, in my case, and you had to study Greek and Latin, the classic languages of the West, and you had to study so many things. And then you had your specialty. But now it's like your specialty, and you may take something else, just so you don't get too absorbed in it. And everyone is bewildered by this technology. It's like Srila Prabhupada said in one class, he said, so with their knowledge, you make the atomic bomb. And what is the result? Death. But if you get knowledge of devotional service, what is the result? No death. He said, better bhakti, no death, than atomic bomb, death. So technology always ends up just like Facebook. Some devotees use it to preach, But 90% of the people, even devotees, use it for Gramya Katha, and finding out what somebody's doing. We should find out what Krishna's doing. And that you won't find on Facebook, unless some devotee is explaining. You'll find it here in the Bhagavatam. No. What is Krishna doing? He's so satisfied. Some siddhi or haritoshanam, that the perfection of life, some siddhi, the greatest perfection of all the previous activities, varnashram, everything, is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so, what pleases him? As Srila Prabhupada quotes here, Patram Pushpam Talam Toyam Yome Bhakta Prayachati, that Tadaham Bhakti Upahrita. So it is so important. Ashami Prayatatmanaha. He says twice, Prayatatmanaha, with pure spiritual consciousness, and Bhakti Pranashiti, Bhakti Pranashiti, that you want to offer Krishna love, loving consciousness, loving activities, and so important that Ashnami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he explains that verse, he says, Krishna is so overcome by the love of his devotees that he begins to eat flowers. Ashnami, Pushpa, eats flowers, eats leaves. That's generally the cows eat these things. But Krishna becomes so affected by the devotees' love that he eats flowers and leaves. Of course, he loves leaves. Just like in Govardhan Lila, and I will conclude with this. In Govardhan Lila, when Krishna manifested himself as the Govardhan deity, then he kept saying, Aniyor, Aniyor, give me more, give me more. And there was nothing to give. Everything was gone. And then finally, one devotee offered a tulsi leaf. And yes, now I'm satisfied. So Krishna loves tulsi leaf. And to speak about affection, I'm just seeing this painting here. How affectionate Lord Chaitanya is to Haridas Thakur. He was so affectionate. Haridas Thakur said that, my Lord, he said, what's wrong with you, Haridas? My Lord, I can't chant anymore. That's all right, you don't have to chant. You already chanted enough for millions of lifetimes. No. I can't chant, not because I can't chant, because of my age. That may be a factor also. But I know that soon you will be leaving this world. And therefore, I can't conceive of being here without you. And the Lord said, well, we have a dilemma, because I can't conceive being here without you. And so, my dear Lord, I've never asked you for anything, but let me ask you for one thing. Please, let me leave before you leave. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'll think about it. I'll come back tomorrow. He came back, and he put his lotus feet on Haridas's heart. And Haridas, crying, he looked at the Lord's lotus face, left his body. So the Lord was so affectionate. And he took his body and he danced and he chanted for hours with Haridas's body. He took his body to the ocean and put it into the water. And then he took the body and he himself personally, covered Haridas's body. So affectionate. If we simply dedicate ourselves, following in the footsteps of Haridas Thakur, Rupa Goswami, all of our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada, then we will certainly, we offer that affection to Krishna. He will offer so much more affection that we will be overcome, and Krishna will be satisfied, and we will be satisfied. So thank you all very much for your attention. Is there any question or comment?
Any questions?
a question, okay?
So the first
Just
question
1
is,
second here, so I can hear properly. Okay.
so Maharaj, you have been a missionary for so many decades. So just wanted to know how to become a missionary and how to maintain that mood of a missionary throughout life.
By following in the footsteps, Shato Brite, as Rupa Goswami says, we follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas, and we follow the orders and instructions of Shri Guru and the Vaishnava. Then we become fixed. One time Srila Prabhupada was in a car coming from a program, and he had spoken about being very determined in devotional service, and he gave the example of himself. He said, just like I have so many lady disciples, but my mind is not disturbed. And the devotees said afterwards, Prabhupada, you have no attraction to the opposite sex. We know that. And Prabhupada didn't say anything. And when he got out of the car, and the devotee said, you are free from all desires. Prabhupada said, he got out of the car, of course, in humility. He said, not that I don't have desires, but I keep myself engaged in devotional service. Then the desires cannot act. So Prabhupada gave that example. That's not his condition, but that's our condition. So we have to keep ourselves engaged in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam. We keep ourselves engaged in the 9 process of devotional service, and we will be fixed. That's Prabhupada said that so many times. When he began book distribution, Prabhupada had told the devotees previously they should study for 2 hours a day. So Prabhupada was saying, I want you to distribute books. And one devotee said, what about study? Prabhupada said, you go to Bhagavatam class, you go to Bhagavad Gita class. That is your 2 hours of study. Of course, we should study. Not that only just the class, we should study. But especially in a marathon or something, then we just hear and we go out and we distribute as much as we can. Some people have to work, but then you can distribute. Yeah, just like I was saying yesterday. Of course, in the West, it's Christmas, so everybody gives gifts. I said, why not give a Bhagavad Gita? No. If you're wondering what to give a Bhagavad Gita and give it to everyone. And say to them, in the spirit of Christmas, so we can say in the spirit of Diwali or whatever. I want to give you this gift. And if you like, you can give something to Krishna. And even if you don't like, please give something to Krishna. Otherwise, I will have to pay for this book. So we just have to have that spirit. And that Sankirtan is such a wonderful activity because it keeps us fully engaged. You have to be thinking, praying so much. Please allow me to be your instrument. We have to pray like that. Otherwise, it's very difficult to stop people and give. But there's so many ways to distribute books. Vaisheshika Prabhu, he according to each devotee's ability. If a devotee is very strong, he gives them a box of books and they go out and distribute. If someone's not so determined, they get a table with books and they sit there and call people over. And if someone has a lot of difficulty talking to people, then he gives them prasadam. They distribute prasadam right next to the people who are distributing books. And they come over and they take some prasadam. The mind becomes a little purified. And then the book distributor comes and gives them a book. So he engages everyone. And if someone has trouble going out, they stay back and they cook for the devotee. But everyone is engaged in Sankirtan. The pujari is engaged in Sankirtan, thinking the devotees will bring so many people. Let me dress the deities in such a beautiful way that everyone will be attracted. So this is everything. Everything revolves around Sankirtan. Around bringing the conditioned living souls back to Krishna's lotus feet.
So
Yeah.
As you said, women has the desire to look beautiful. But according to the Vedas, we are not the body and we are just a spirit soul. Is it okay to have the desire to look beautiful?
Yes, well, the body belongs to Krishna. And Krishna is loaning it to us so that we can serve him. So we have to take care of it. Just like if you have something and it breaks, then, well, unfortunate, I have to get it fixed. But if you have something that belongs to someone else, and especially someone who is your best friend, and it breaks, you have to take more care of that than you would take care of your own things, because that person is very dear. So because Krishna is our best friend, he gives us his body, we have to take care of it. But we always remember that I'm taking care of it for Krishna, not so I can enjoy my senses, but so that I can do more service for more time and better service. Yes.
Why Krishna loves twigs more? Why Krishna loves twigs more?
Twigs. Because they represent, I'm offering my life. So twigs, and also twigs are very auspicious because they're new and they're fresh. Just like when you offer a Krishna flower, you want a fresh flower, not one that's like, all wilted and we also should try to offer him flowers that smell. In Kali Yuga, there's so many flowers that don't smell. Kali Yuga, and so many people that don't serve Krishna. So otherwise, the flowers that don't smell remind us that we should be serving Krishna. We shouldn't be like a flower that doesn't smell, a person that doesn't do what the soul is supposed to do, which is serve the Supreme Lord and his devotee. That's like a flower that doesn't smell. So everybody in Kali Yuga that's not a devotee is like a flower that doesn't smell. So a new twig is very fresh. You're offering everything. All the potential is there. Potential for growth. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you so much. So, Maharaj, as disciples of Srila Prabhupada, we sometimes feel that we have not a chance to meet Srila Prabhupada personally. So, could you please share some of your encounters with Srila Prabhupada that attracted you to Srila Prabhupada and dedicate your life?
Yes, I could do that, but it's actually, in one sense, it's erroneous to say that we didn't meet Srila Prabhupada, because we're meeting him through Vani. Just like many persons, they met Prabhupada and they went away. Many devotees, after Prabhupada left, because their relationship was sentimental. It was like, Prabhupada was there, he spoke very nicely to me, he did this, he did that. There was a lot of sentimentality. And therefore, when Prabhupada wasn't there, because it was all based on Vani, Vani, and not Bapu, not Vani, then when Prabhupada wasn't there, there wasn't enough strength to maintain devotional service. So everyone who came afterwards, who didn't get that association, is in one sense more fortunate, because you have to establish a relationship on the basis of Vani, on the basis of hearing, and chanting, and obeying. And also, you get so much more from hearing all the different devotees and their different experiences with Srila Prabhupada. So my experience was very limited, because, as you heard in the announcement of all my upadhis, that when I was, for 2 years after I took up Krishna consciousness, I was in the army, so I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't be with Prabhupada, and so, but I met Srila Prabhupada for the first time in Mayapur when we came for the festival in 1976. And I had the fortune of staying outside his room because I knew how to type, and they needed a typist. And so I had to be right there, to type all these little things like the Sannyas mantra, this and that, note for everybody. So all the things that the secretary needed some help on. And so I got to stay right there. So but what attracted me to Prabhupada was his books. His books. I mean, also Prasadam. That was not so much Prabhupada, but it was Krishna Prasadam. So I was more Srila Prabhupada's books. It made sense to me. I had already taken initiation from a guru, a Mayavadi, and so I was already practicing to some degree, some discipline. But then when I read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I got the Bhagavad Gita. I had a magazine. Devotees gave me a magazine, but somebody stole it. And then I couldn't find the devotees, and I was drafted into the army. And then while I was in the army, I was suffering so much, because I was already used to getting up early, but to get up early and go out and run and do all the nonsense that they teach you, And so I was really suffering, and I was still trying to practice my meditation, and then I was so desperate. I went to the library, look in the philosophy section, try to find something, and there was Bhagavad Gita. I read it one time. I said, "This is forget about this other Swamy. This is reality," and that's what attracted me. Yes, I think one more question because we have another program coming up.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Sometimes it looks like the prayer which we offer to Krishna is not so intensive. So how to make it consistently to have an intensive prayer to Krishna?
Well, I would say just to learn how to pray, then you go to the prayers of Queen Kunti, Prahlad Maharaj, and just recite them to the deities. And then you learn how to pray. You learn the mood of prayer. There was one devotee who I knew very well. And when he was a very new devotee, he took his guitar to India. So he came to Prabhupada one day and he said, "Srila Prabhupada, I wrote a song about Krishna. Can I sing it to you?" Prabhupada, yes. Of course. So he sang his song. And he was waiting for Prabhupada to say, he told me this. I was waiting for Prabhupada. "Oh, that was so nice." Prabhupada said, "It is a nice sentiment, but you should hear the songs of Narottam Das Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur." So we may have a nice sentiment, but if we want to really learn how to pray nicely, we should the prayers of Gajendra, the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, the prayers of even the heavy-duty prayers, like the demigods to Krishna in the womb, or the personified Vedas. Those are really philosophical prayers. But you just hear the prayers, and then you develop the proper sentiment. But the real sentiment is, if you study the prayers that devotees first, they recognize Krishna as the supreme person beyond the modes of material nature. Generally speaking, all the prayers start out like that. You recognize Krishna's greatness. So it's not just some sentimental thing. And then you glorify Krishna. If you want to follow Jiva Goswami, glorify his name, his form, his qualities, and his lila. That's like a very well-constructed prayer. So we'll have to stop here because we have another program coming up. Thank you all very much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki